Hey, how's it going? This is week 11 of me watching and discussing every fall 2023 anime. In this video I will be talking about every episode released between December 4th and December 10th. Winter is very much here now and things are getting more and more busy at work for me. I'm going to have to sort of speedrun through these last few weekly videos as time just isn't really available to me anymore to do them in the capacity that I would have preferred. I once again had a total of 11 episodes to watch this week. We're getting pretty close to the end of this season. MF Ghost actually airs its last episode next week. This season has gone by pretty quick. But anyway, let's get to it. Undead Unluck, Episode 10. This was a pretty lengthy roundup of all of these finished quests and the rewards and penalties that they provided. One such change was having all of the world's languages be united, which seems like kind of a massive deal. Apparently, English is now the only language, but even so, all characters still speak Japanese, obviously. Classic. This whole scene with this galaxy thing felt kind of irrelevant. I guess the purpose was to establish this whole thing where if they get 2 more penalties the world might end, but this seemed to me like a pretty messy way to communicate this. These alien dudes just look and sound like generic bad guys and this entire confrontation was just uninteresting and boring to me. The fact that the fate of the world is at stake if our protagonists fail is however something that adds a somewhat cool layer of tension, but this will also depend on how they actually make use of this scenario. Maybe Armageddon would actually manage to get Undead Dude to die for good though, but I suppose he wouldn't be too happy to go out if everyone else also dies with him. I thought this was another fairly weak episode, but I am still remaining optimistic for where things might be going from here. "16-bit Sensation Another Layer", Episode 10. Episode 10 of 16-bit Sensation presented a really interesting scenario that I feel is an accurate reflection of many things in the real world. As Konoha gets back to 2023, otaku culture has more or less vanished from Akihabara, and the reason for this is because the game she created with the crew from 1999 became so successful that it attracted attention from businesses in the US. This eventually made it so that most of the big developers in the Bishoujo game industry moved their facilities and staff over there, which then meant that Bishoujo games started to be influenced by Western standards until they had become something that was barely recognizable to Konoha. The way I see it, this isn't very dissimilar to the course that anime as a medium currently seems to be on. Anime never really used to care much for whatever presence it had in Western countries or with Western audiences. Anime was a Japanese product crafted for the Japanese market, but this is changing more and more these days. A great deal of anime shows now adopt common design sensibilities from Western media and make efforts to appeal more to Western audiences. In many ways, this probably makes perfect sense, since there clearly seems to be a certain demand for these products. But to me, this means that anime is losing many of its most important qualities. I personally don't want anime to become more like Western media. This would be an utterly depressing disaster. The reason for why I initially found anime to be so enchanting was specifically because it was so different from all of the trite and hollow stuff that the West keeps pushing out. Anime dared to be different. Creators dared to take risks and make weird shows that gave no craps at all about what kind of an audience it might have had. People made art because they were passionate about art. The Western media culture feels more like a fast food industry where everything is carefully researched and produced to appeal to as many people as possible and to be as cost effective as possible, and often having no soul whatsoever in the process. And plenty of anime shows these days match this description too, because the Western audience has started to influence the anime industry. To be clear, this isn't to say that this is the cause for all cynical anime shows being made, but at the very least, the priorities that studios have has clearly started to shift due to the presence that anime now has in the West. At the start of this fall 2023 season, I was very quick to praise 16-bit Sensation because it was very different from all of this. It felt like a reminder of how things used to be, like an homage to the early days of anime and otaku culture, and this was absolutely fantastic in my eyes. So there's now a great deal of impact when this whole scenario is given some manner of presence in the show itself. Konoha doesn't want this watered down, westernized version of Bishoujo games because obviously the integrity of these works is greatly tarnished as a result. It's a really multi-layered commentary because this show itself, just on account of what it's about, challenges the common formulas for how to make a popular and accessible piece of media. And now, at the same time, it speaks of this very same dilemma within its own universe. 16-bit Sensation stands against this very destructive trend in anime where shows start to compromise on their content to appeal more to Western audiences. If the future that we're seeing in this episode is any indication of where things are going with anime, then it seems like we've fallen into a truly awful timeline. Anime likely would have been a more creative industry if it would have remained as a solely Japanese product with a more niche appeal in the West. I'm just glad that we're still getting shows like 16-bit Sensation at least every now and then that still care about passion and creativity. Seeing Konoha be legitimately sorrowful and in tears hit quite hard for me as it's a massive contrast to her usual attitude and her usual expressions. She's always been this energetic and cheerful person, so to now see her be beaten down like this for the first time was powerful and compelling. Koga Aoi is doing a great performance and these scenes really ended up delivering on just about every front for me. I'm not entirely sure of how the westernization of shoujo games somehow skyrocketed the advancement of technology too, but apparently in this timeline Nvidia had already released the RTX 9090 by the year 2023. Or no, sorry, I mean the RTZ 9090. My bad. Does this fucking thing come with 960 gigabytes of VRAM? Bro. Mamoru makes some really decent points in regards to how this version of 2023 isn't necessarily worse than the one Konoha is familiar with, and the fact that the show doesn't take a clear stance on this matter is incredibly tasteful to me. Instead of leaning into one opinion or the other, both sides are presented in equal measures from different characters with different perspectives. And better yet, these characters eventually reach a reasonable compromise that hopefully maintains the desires of both parties. Konoha has one final game and one final chance to time travel and change this future, and this is to me a really engrossing setup for what I'm assuming is going to be the last piece of this story and this series. I'm still not really sure what all that weird stuff was all about from back when Mamoru time leaped, but maybe we'll find out some more about that at some point. Either way, this has been a fantastic ride for me so far. It feels sad that this series is nearing its end. Dr. Stone, New World Part 2 Episode 9. Holy crap, loads of things are suddenly happening in this show now. I thought this episode was pretty great. It felt like a kind of nice return to form after a fair few episodes that have been less than stellar. The way the crew just had a good time and revived the people one by one was charming, and they even revived and recruited Kirisame as I'd hoped a few episodes ago. Fuck yes, man. Ginro's revival was also cool and this scene packed a decent punch. But how dare you skip Kohaku's revival? What the hell, man? Ginro is more important than Kohaku? Okay, show. This whole scene with the Senku Vocaloid dude was also tastefully dramatic, and when we got that first 12,800,000 meters phrase from this transmission, that was pretty damn hype and cool. I'm still confused as shit about how this deterioration thing for petrified people work. This dude had been underwater for like a few hundred years, but he was fine. But this master guy who can't have been petrified for even 100 years was somehow screwed. And what about our main cast that had been petrified for 3,700 years? I don't get it, dude. Anyway, as our gang eventually reached the conclusion that their enemies on the moon, Senku declares that this is their new destination. This shit was pretty damn brilliant to me and it hit with a whole lot of weight. That is such a heavy goal and I thought this was presented wonderfully. Though I am a bit concerned over how much they are going to be stretching the notion of realism in order to achieve interstellar travel. I'm no expert on the topic, but I've gotten the impression that rocket science is kind of a complicated thing. But hey, I guess I'll find out. Either way, I'm pretty hyped to see how they progress towards this goal. I just hope we don't hit too many more boring roadblocks along the way. Under Ninja, Episode 10. Yo, same. This booger lady was apparently forged in the goddamn fires of war. Forced to duke it out against other kids until there was only one left standing. I did not see that one coming. This bike apparently likes boobs. What a bike of culture. Also, this cat that is actually a human is now riding the bike. Drunk lady has no idea what's going on, and neither do I, but I'm digging it all the same. This cardboard mecha thing is pretty damn cool. They were really thinking outside the box when they conceptualized this design. People just keep dying at this school, and later our main guy and his friend fight this booger lady. There's some cool moves in this fight, and this guy apparently has some lightning magic. Wild. Funny episode. Many goofy girls in this one. 経験するな君と経験せらの俺がお付き合いする話
Or Kimizero.
Episode 10. Since this is a romance show, I figured I might as well do the rest of these episodes with Emily. It feels appropriate enough given the theme. I thought this episode was another pretty garbage episode. Why is Runa just running away at the start here without letting Ryuto even have a chance to explain himself or like be a part of this discussion? She's just making every decision on her own and he's not even allowed to partake. Why?
Because they want miscommunication, I guess. That's my best bet.
Oh yeah, perfect. The best kind of misunderstanding
yeah,
thing. Yeah, I love it. You love to see it. The best plot device.
I feel like it's a huge thing especially in this show.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing that happened a few episodes ago where Runa and Ryuto was like went 2 weeks without talking because Runa thought he was doing stuff with Kurose or whatever, and like she just avoided him and gave him no chance to even explain what was going on, even like nobody had done anything wrong except Kurose, I guess, but like neither Runa or Ryuto, nobody had done anything wrong, but he didn't even get a chance to explain that this was the case because the show obsessively wants Ryuto to come across as this nice, understanding guy, but it also wants these stupid fucking misunderstandings. So in order to achieve both of these ideals, the show has to make these absurdly fucking retarded scenes that would never fucking happen in the real world, and it just feels absolutely ridiculous in like a bad fucking way.
And it feels like even if they would happen in the real world, it would be annoying then as well.
Whatever, man.
For everyone around them.
I mean, like, just because, like, even if this would be like super realistic, like all of these things actually do happen, that's not really an excuse because I don't want to watch a fictional piece of media that depicts annoying things from the real world. Like, I want to be entertained. I don't want to be pissed off.
And I also...
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Afterwards, we get this backstory for Runa and Kurose where they're kids and doing stuff, and like I just thought this was shallow and hollow and like forced in for the sake of giving some stupid context to just this Runa's character, I guess. I just didn't think it felt like meaningful or that it mattered.
No, I think they were cute, and I felt like the scene was fairly cute.
Cute is good, I guess, but I mean that's not really gonna save it for me.
I would guess that they were like putting it in there to better understand their relationship, but it kind of felt both a bit weird and like, do siblings really behave like that?
I don't know, I wouldn't know, I don't have any siblings.
No.
But whatever, I just thought it felt stupid and like unnatural. But whatever, afterwards we have this like sugar daddy misunderstanding thing, which is also just like, how in the fuck is this the first thing you assume when you see your friend with a dude? Like, he's not even old, he's not even an adult. Like, what the fuck? How do you reach this conclusion?
Because she was wearing an expensive bag.
Oh yeah, and obviously the only way she could get a hold of this bag was by having him buy it that day and right there and then. Not because she bought it herself or someone else bought it or like... The only possible conclusion to draw that made any sense was that this dude, who's like a few years older at best, must have bought it because he's her sugar daddy.
Exactly.
What the fuck? Like, nobody would reach this conclusion. This is the most contrived fucking piece of garbage I've ever seen. Or that's a big stretch, but I mean...
Yeah, but...
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah. Not like, okay, she's dating someone else, but...
But even that would be like pushing it, because I mean, people can interact with each other without having romantic feelings be involved. Like, it's possible. You don't have to be this fucking quick to draw conclusions. But whatever, the fact that she specifically assumed it was like a sugar daddy situation was just completely bonkers to me. But yeah, whatever. I guess that's this show in a nutshell, basically.
Very much.
Sure, great stuff. And later we get this weird fucking scene where two goobers hit on our two main girls, or well, the main girl and her friend, I guess. And like, I also thought this was just absurdly unnatural. Like, this just doesn't feel like something that happens. People don't behave this way. And I mean, what's preventing them from just walking away? I mean, they're in a big open public space. I mean, someone would probably intervene eventually if they would just keep following these people around.
I'm not too sure of that. Maybe I'm just...
So people will just stand by while these idiots, like, pester and harass people. Like, there's no security, no adults, no, like, nothing. People can just do whatever the fuck they want.
There have been a lot of situations where, like, people are having fights and people, like, just ignore them. Or I know there even been, like, a lot of talk about really bad situations happening and people rather ignore it than step in because they don't want to risk putting themselves in danger.
Fine, I guess. I just mean, like, I've obviously never been in either the receiving end or the provoking end or whatever, but like, if I would have been just spontaneously, I feel like if I would have been in that situation, I would probably just punch them in the face or something. Like, I guess it depends if they seem violent and aggressive or dangerous. Maybe you wouldn't really do that, but they didn't really seem very intimidating to me.
I think it's also like a big thing, a big difference between, like, since I've grown up as a girl, there are a lot of more pressure put on, or not pressure, but like there's a lot of you learn from a young age to be careful because people are dangerous, and especially in the case of like men who are bigger than you.
Yeah, either way, I just don't really feel like it's like I feel like it would be more in character for this demon gatherer lady to just punch them in the face and like move on. It seems like something she would do.
I feel like while she's like angry demon, I don't feel like she's actually violent. We haven't
I didn't
seen
like
her be
this scene.
violent.
It felt like another forced thing, just so the main guy could step in and be a hero or whatever.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
felt
like it.
a lot like they wanted the "Hey, that's my girl."
Wow, so
kind
cool,
of situation.
so amazing, so hot. Whatever, man. I just thought it fell completely flat.
And
Whatever,
I feel like,
man. Moving on.
Yeah. Okay.
This confession from this fat guy to the other gatherer lady was also like, why does it have to be this complicated? Like, it's not this big of a deal. This was really out of nowhere to me.
I feel like either they just wanted to be dramatic, like always. If I were to have some hope in this show, I feel like it might have been that she kind of wanted to get to know him before, and that she's more like disappointed that like he took the steps so early. But
so
probably that's
I mean,
the case.
The thing is, like, love isn't really always logical or reasonable, right? And
No.
I think if she will just assume that people look at it from the same perspective as she does, then she's doing it wrong. I mean, I don't really think it's fair for her to just demand that others treat love the same way she does, just because she has a particular way of looking at it. A lot of people do feel incredibly, like, attached or invested already after just a brief interaction. And I mean, that's fine. I think that's fine, at least. But I mean,
but I can also like understand that she would rather like get a confession from someone she has gotten to know a bit before.
Yeah, I mean, fine, I guess. Like, I understand
I felt
that,
like it was
but
handled weird.
whatever. I thought the scene was just necessarily like aggressive and complicated for the sake of just, I don't know, maybe they just felt that she didn't really have much personality and they needed to like flesh her out somehow, and they came up with this weird fucking love is this way and it has to be this way kind of thing. I don't know, I just thought it was really fucking weird. But yeah, whatever. It wasn't like, a big deal.
Somehow it reminded me of like a confession scene in an old movie I watched as a kid.
But what movie?
The Swan Princess.
How old is this movie? Is it from the 1800s?
Yeah, I think so.
Ah.
No.
That's old. I didn't know we had movies back then.
But in that movie there's like the scene where these two people have been like, their parents want them to get together since they were children. Mm-hmm. And they're both like, I don't like this person.
Nice.
And then they're kind of adults and haven't seen each other in a while, and he sees her and she's beautiful now, so he changes his mind.
Oh yeah, I mean, beauty is everything.
Yeah, and she questions that. Like, when he says that he likes her, she's like, what else? And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair enough, but the thing is, like, this fat guy had gotten a chance to get to know her. Like, they had spent an entire day together doing stuff, and I mean...
And also doing
I
this
can at least say that that's enough for me to make a pretty establish an understanding for how someone is, like, to reach a conclusion for how I feel about someone. If I spend several hours together with someone, I'll probably reach a pretty good like level of understanding for how I feel towards this person. Even though I don't know them completely, I would at least know if I like them or not. Maybe something will happen later, like I will learn something about them that either makes me really not like them or really like them even more, but just a few hours is enough to understand if you're fundamentally compatible with someone, if you like their company or not, at least to me. So I mean, I don't think it's completely unfair to feel incredibly invested already after just a single day or whatever.
And I feel like she started it pretty well with like asking why, but then if she had stopped there and let him explain himself,
again with this, like they ask questions but they don't allow the people they ask to answer the questions. They just why are you doing this, why is this the case, you're the worst at the spring, then they run away. They're perfect. That's how you do. That's how you talk. That's how you interact with people. Whatever. I guess that's like the biggest modus operandi of this entire show. That you ask a question and then you run away before the person can answer. That's how you do it. That's how this show likes to do things. Yeah. Perfect. Anyway, I didn't like this episode, but whatever.
No.
Going by the theory, it seems like they might break up next episode, which is also just like, what the fuck, man? Why?
I have learned to not trust the previews very much.
I guess it's just another thing. It might just be another thing where they just want people to be like, oh no, what's going on now? I have to see the next episode, even though it's just fucking stupid. It's such a stupid idea overall. Like, drama isn't that cool. Like, it's not really... Especially not when it's this overt. Like, it's just tasteless and absurd.
Yeah.
But whatever. Yeah, whatever. It is what it is. Not the best episode, but yeah.
No.
Bye now. Sousou no Frieren, episode 14. The way Stark and Fern were bickering about her lack of a present felt very childish, but in a way that actually managed to be very endearing. An argument like this is something that would often come across as obnoxious to me, but yet again, this show manages to strike an impressive balance in its delivery that makes even a challenging scenario like this be enjoyable to experience. This new priest dude has added yet another welcome layer to our group, and I enjoyed his conversation with Frieren up on this roof a fair bit. This was bordering on seeming a bit pretentious to me, but it just barely managed to straddle that line. People won't know how you feel unless you tell them. This is something that people still seem to fail to realize even today in our modern society, and I do think a lot of valuable input can be made on this topic, but I didn't feel that this episode went far enough to add anything of particular value to this idea. Frieren sliding down these tiles is way cuter than it needs to be. The fact that Stark accidentally chose a present for Frieren that symbolized eternal love was pretty fantastic. These two are actually absurdly adorable when they're being all lovey-dovey together. A similar thing apparently happened between Himmel and Frieren, but here it seems that Himmel actually did pick up on this eternal love connotation. But Frieren seemingly remained oblivious of this for the rest of Himmel's lifetime, and that is just brutal, man. Can't have been easy to have been romantically invested in someone so apathetic to the entire notion of it. This scene with the ring and such also had a rather striking composition, and it was pretty damn lovely visually. Also, Aizen gives no shits about gravity. This bird attack on the caravan was also pretty cool and really came out of nowhere. The presentation did a good job at conveying just how sudden this all was, which helped me as a viewer better get a feel for the surprise our characters must have felt. Frieren is conveniently enough given a scroll that helps her find her lost ring from Himmel as thanks for saving the day. I'm a bit confused about how the magic system in this world works, because it seems like there is a spell for literally anything, no matter how little or how much utility or function it may provide. Are these spells just randomly generated or something? Do you have to pull on a gacha banner and hope you get something that's actually useful? Anyway, this episode was a lot of fun. I'm really fond of how tasteful all the comedy in this series is, and many of the interactions between these characters are just brilliant. It looks like this might be the halfway point of this show, and I'm looking forward to another hopefully strong half. Hikikomari Kyuuketsuki no Monmon, Episode 9. Jesus, man. Whoever is designing Terakomari's outfits, they've got some damn good taste. Aside from this though, this episode was pretty hollow. We get some beach antics at the start here, which I suppose is kinda groovy, but then the rest of the episode is just vapid and boring. I'm not really understanding what the end goal of this narrative is at this point. To reach world peace or something? I don't know. This bluffing battle here with this shrine maiden looking lady was pretty awkward and annoying. I do think this can be cute enough when Terakomari does it and when it is used in moderation, but this went way beyond that. But whatever. This new girl joins our main crew in an alliance or something, and this other new lady is a new enemy. These are probably the only developments that matter from this episode. Pretty dull. Spy Family, Season 2, Episode 10. Damn, they are really going hard with the insert songs in this season. We have gotten quite a few good ones, and this one here also felt like a great fit for the scene it was given. Aside from this little montage segment, however, I thought this episode was pretty damn dull. To me, it just felt like a shallow and formulaic representation of a group of characters doing vacation things. I've just personally never felt that these characters have any real depth or chemistry with each other outside of the occasional vapid joke, so to me they can't really carry an entire episode on their own without some form of plot to lean on. And it certainly didn't help that this damn Yuri dude comes in again and screams some more about his one-dimensional obsession with his own sister. Man, just get me out of here. Maybe this series just isn't for me, but I'm too deep into it to back down from it now. Kusuriya no Hitorigoto, Episode 10. I appreciated getting to learn some more about the other concubine ladies in this episode, even though Lishu and her role still spook me just a bit. Either way though, she's certainly hella cute, and I think she seems to be a rather endearing character. It does also seem like she isn't currently being visited, so that's good. I'm not overly fond of the way that many of the mob characters in this show has this fangirly kind of behavior towards some of the higher class people, like Jinshi or the concubines. I just really struggle to relate to this kind of awestruck infatuation, and to me this just seems like a device to make the viewer understand that these characters are indeed liked. But this is a pretty overt way of accomplishing this and makes these obsessed characters seem incredibly shallow. Mao Mao continues to be a very likable character, however, and this is further emphasized by the fact that many others throw themselves under the bus like this. What in the crap is going on here, by the way? Does Jinshi want Mao Mao to lick his fingers? Anyway, the underlying mystery plot continues to develop in an engrossing way. The reveal at the end that Mao Mao's dad had been involved in the delivery of this baby hit with a fair bit of impact. I'm stoked to see where things go. Bokura no Ameiro Protocol, Episode 10. Could you possibly have made this video editing interface any more generic? The show tries to present a scene where this actor lady presents herself in a way that contradicts her actual personality, but this doesn't work at all because the interjecting scenes that show her having the opposite characteristics are more or less completely new and not something we've seen much of before or have gotten clearly established. There's some more crap going on about this dude's sister and it's just ass. It's just ass. After that, most of the episode is spent on some drama centered around this actor lady having a photo shoot on the same day as one of the team's matches because her manager is a close-minded asshole. Whoa, that's so cool and exciting. She wants to do both things, but now she must choose just one. No way. Even though it would clearly be possible to schedule things in a way where both things would be possible, but hey, whatever. I'm no manager. In the end, this shoot is cancelled due to rain, so it clearly wasn't all that important. Why am I watching this show? MF Ghost, Episode 11. It looks like the season of this show is going to end with Kanata doing the qualifying lap for the next race, and this structure makes a good amount of sense to me. I'm assuming we're going to be seeing more seasons of this show where things progress further, so to leave that hanging could act as an efficient hook. It's cool to see a new race with a slightly different lineup coming up. This dude who's obsessed with 17-year-olds is in this time, and apparently he's a kind of good driver despite his weird personality. Seeing Kanata be all hyped up about the improvements in this Toyota was hella charming, and was cool to see some more racing stuff after the previous episode that was much more relaxed. That episode acted as a good palate cleanser for me, which makes these moments maintain more of their value now. The aggressive dynamic this brother and sister had during her qualifying race was pretty cute. We also get another cool music track as this new weirdo does his qualifying lap, and it was pretty damn hype. I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to end the next episode, as it will be the last one for now. I'm guessing they will be going out on a high note, and I'm excited to see how they go about it. And that is everything for now. We're getting closer and closer to Christmas, and this season is starting to wrap up. MF Ghost will be ending next week, and it will become the first show to end aside from Hanako-kun. My favorites for this season still remain the same. The three shows that I think have held up the best over time are still 16-bit Sensation, Kusuriya no Hitorigoto, and Sousou no Frieren. Ameiro Protocol is a total train wreck and likely wins the award of being the worst show that I'll end up finishing this season. I really wish I hadn't gotten lured in by all of the goofy PC gaming related things back at the start of it. Anyway, that's all I've got for now. Thanks for watching my stuff, I hope you have a cool day, and see you next week perhaps.